Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are making these yummy treats. You can find ingredients and recipe below in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, we're going to make cream puffs today, and we start off making our cream puffs with choux pastry. No, choux pastry is not made from choux, obviously. And choux means cabbage in French, and that's how it gets its name, because I guess they thought that the little profiteroles look like little baby cabbages, even though I personally don't think they do, but they don't look like choux either. So I'm going to get the ingredients and then we're going to start cooking. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I have my saucepan over medium heat, and I'm going to add half a cup of whole milk, and you can use reduced fat milk if you want to. And I have half a cup of water. Also, what you could do, some people just use a whole cup of water or don't use any milk at all and just use water. So that's up to you. I like it with the milk. And this is 2 teaspoons of sugar and just a little pinch of salt. I'm going to add that in there. The sugar also is optional. Choux pastry works really well with sweet desserts, but it also works really well with savory things. So you can choose to add the sugar, or you can choose not to add the sugar. And then I've also got half a cup of butter that I have mixed up, or broken into little pieces, just to help it melt a little bit more. So that's half a cup or 1 stick of unsalted butter. If you use the salted butter, you could just go ahead and leave the pinch of salt out. I think that would work just fine. So I'm going to stir this up and let it melt, and I'll check back with you in a minute. Okay, the butter has melted in the saucepan. And once you get to that point, we can let it simmer a little bit, but you don't want to boil it. So when the butter is all melted, you can take it off the heat and add the flour all at once. Okay, so it's off the heat, and I have our cup of all-purpose plain flour, and we're just going to dump all that in at one time and stir. And it's going to be lumpy. Don't let that bother you, because the lumps go away, but it is really lumpy at first. And then we can put it back on the stove on the heat, but reduce it to low this time, because we don't want to cook it, we don't want it to get brown. We just want to get the flour taste out and get some of the moisture out of it. And I don't know how well you can see it, but when it starts to get like a little filmy thing on it, the coat, that's a sign that it's ready. So we're going to take this off the heat, and I'm going to put it in a different bowl, and we're going to mix the eggs in. So I will see you just a second from now. Okay, we've got our choux pastry right here. It's still really warm. And then I have beaten 4 eggs. These are 4 large eggs, and you don't have to beat them. But I like to beat them because you might not use them all, and I figure this incorporates them a little bit better than instead of adding them one at a time. And what I'm going to do to help maybe cool this a bit, because we don't want to pour our eggs into a really hot mixture because we'll cook the eggs. So I'm going to beat this a little bit, just maybe to cool it off a little bit. Okay, so I have been mixing that for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. It's still really warm, but I'm going to gradually start adding the eggs in. And it's going to look kind of soupy yucky at first. And that's the way it's supposed to look, so don't let that scare you. So I'm going to continue adding the eggs in. I did end up using all the eggs, most of the eggs, pretty much all of the eggs. But this is kind of the consistency that you want it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is put that in the piping bag, and then we're going to make our cute little cream puffs. Okay, so I've got the little pastry bag, and you can just use a regular Ziploc bag and just cut the corner off. And some people use a little bit of the pastry to keep the parchment paper on, but I think mine's pretty flat, so I'm not going to do that right now. So it is a parchment lined. If you don't have parchment, just grease it if you want to. And then we're going to make our little circly cream puffs. You can make them however big or small that you want. And mine are probably going to be all sorts of different sizes because that's the way that I do things. Not intentionally, but it always works out that way. Okay, and once you have your little cream puffs on your parchment paper, you can get a wet fork and kind of, you don't want to squish them too much, but you can get rid of that little top part there. And once you've smoothed them out, and mine are not perfectly smooth, but that's okay, you can spritz them with a little bit of water because you want them to stay in the oven. Do not open the door. We're going to cook it, and we want steam to help rise it. So I'm going to put this in a 400-degree oven, and we're going to cook it for 15 minutes, and then we're going to lower the temperature to 350 and cook it another 15 to 20 minutes. They look adorable. Yes. Alright, so I'm going to put these on my cooling rack. Okay, so these turned out really well. As you can see, I am not the perfect person to make this because they're different sizes. But the recipe that I shared with you is going to make about 2 dozen. So our next step now is going to be making the whipped cream. You can make it any way that you normally make it, but I'll share with you the way I do it. I don't measure when I make whipped cream, so I'm just going to pour some heavy cream in here. That much. And I freeze my bowl and the blades in the freezer for like 5 minutes before I make it. I don't know if that does anything, but that's what I do. When it's starting to get thick, I'm going to put some powdered sugar in it. Once again, I don't measure, so my whipped cream never tastes the same. So I'm just going to put a little bit of powdered sugar in there. And you can also put vanilla or other flavorings. You can put some chocolate in there and make it chocolate whipped cream. So I'm going to mix this up for a little bit more. Then we're going to cut open our choux pastries and make our cream puffs. Okay, the best way to tell if your whipped cream tastes the way you want it to do is to actually taste it. Very good. So I'm going to get a knife. We'll cut one of these little puppies open. So we cut our cream puffs in half, and they should look a little bit hollow on the inside. That's what you're going for. And I'm going to spoon in a little bit of whipped cream. You can do this neater than I am if you use a piping bag or if you're not doing it for the camera. So you just spoon in your whipped cream, and then you can put the little lid back on it. So I'm going to finish doing these. And we'll just dust them with some powdered sugar. These would be really good with fresh berries. They look very impressive, but they're really easy to make once you get the hang of it. Oops, I'm making a mess with the powdered sugar, but that's okay. It'll still taste good. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed it.